Hey everyone, welcome back to the Reaction Shot Podcast. I'm your host Dave, and joining me today is filmmaker Sean Cisterna. Hey Sean, how are you doing today?
Awesome, Dave. Thanks for having me on your show.
Oh, thanks for coming on my show. I really appreciate it. I recently heard of a film that you just completed, and it completely took me by surprise, and I read a lot about it. Did pretty much a really big deep dive, and I'm like, I have to talk to this filmmaker and see exactly what is going on, where the idea came from, and that's why we're here today.
Well, there's not much information out there about it, so you must have done
Yeah,
a really deep dive on
I
all your
I
crazy sources. Okay.
I did. I kept typing in the name and things about you pretty much. So how are you
Okay.
today?
Great. Yeah, I'm filming in Ottawa today, which is our nation's capital here in Canada. We're filming a little thriller project for A&E television for the US, and yeah, so it was a long day on set, but I'm back in my hotel, and yeah, can't wait to chat with you.
Well, that sounds super exciting. Sounds like you're already on the next project, which is a great thing. So we'll be looking forward to that as well. And so you're in Canada right now. You grew up in Canada?
Yes, grew up just north of Toronto. Yeah, spent my entire life here. It's our home and native land, and I've been working in the Canadian film system throughout my career. And yeah, I've been lucky enough to screen our films all over your beautiful country, and work with some awesome U.S. companies and streamers and distributors. So, I've really kind of learned that the film industry is more global than kind of geo-local sort of thing. So, yeah, it's
Sure.
awesome to make films in one country and then have them kind of distributed around the world, and kind of brings us all together. That's what I love about the filmmaking industry.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's one of the things I love about filmmaking too. Just, I mean, even just the community of filmmakers, film lovers, it really brings everybody together. I mean, it's a great piece of art, and it sounds like you're doing all the right things. So, what was childhood like for you?
Oh, childhood. Yeah, well, I certainly fell in love with films from a very early age. I remember seeing E.T. as a kid. It was my first theatrical experience, and just kind of bawling when E.T. went home. And I knew there was something, even at 4 years old, something about this medium that I was watching that had the power to draw this emotion out of people the way no other medium could. So yeah, I set my sights on very early on learning about what how films were made and what directors did, and writers, and just how all these creative individuals came together to make a singular project. So that was always very yeah, inspiring to me.
Yeah, for sure. That was actually my next question, what the first film was that you ever saw and what made you fall in love with filmmaking. You covered that. E.T. is a fantastic film. I love that movie. I actually have a E.T. statue,
I
little
see it.
guy
Yeah.
behind there. Yeah. So hovering over us while we talk about your first viewing of that. I love that that's one of the movies that made you fall in love with movie making. It's definitely a very magical experience. So I definitely get why you do that.
Yeah, I mean that was the magical one, and then like the ones that felt more taboo and like, oh my God, this is something I shouldn't be watching at this age. That was like yeah, I remember having a copy of Clockwork Orange and
Oh yeah.
getting terrified by that, and of course The Exorcist, and that's where like films became more powerful and frightening, and stirred up all these different emotions, right? Film didn't just have to be a pleasant magical experience where you felt euphoric. It could also feel dark and twisted, and take you to worlds that you haven't anticipated ever stepping foot in. So that's what I love about film. It transports you to wherever the filmmaker wants to take you.
Yeah, I love that. And that's one of the things that I love about film too, an array of emotions that you get from any type of genre. And looking at your filmography, it looks like you kind of span a wide range of genres as well. So do you have a favorite genre to watch?
To watch? Yeah, that's a good question. No, I feel like I'm more drawn to I guess like indie fare, where I can feel the pains that the filmmaker went through to get their films made. I definitely love David Lynch for sure, and those films that work around the the $1 to $2 million level and make a splash. I just love watching those success stories kind of play out in real time.
Mhm.
Yeah, whether it be like something like Blue Velvet or even like more Little Miss Sunshine. Watching those films just work on a smaller budget but achieve great results and are embraced by the public. I just love those indie success stories that are feel like home runs.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually recently was just talking about Requiem for a Dream and how
Mm.
effective that film was with, really capturing the emotion of the audience and obviously the characters on the screen. I always refer to it as a horror film because it literally every time I watch it just gives me such an uneasy feeling, but it's effective filmmaking to the core. That's absolutely what I love about
Mm.
filmmaking. So
Mhm.
I love that you explained it that way. So couldn't agree more. For anyone who's not really familiar with your work, can you kind of walk us through a little bit of your filmography, some things that like really stand out for you?
Sure. Yeah, well, I suppose I'll start like with our streaming sort of film. So in 2014, I made a movie called Full Out. That was with Jennifer Beals. That was a story of a gymnast, a UCLA gymnast who was basically on her way to the Olympics and then got in a severe car accident and had to relearn to use her body with the help of this coach from UCLA. So it was based on a true story, and we had a bunch of real life gymnastics Olympians in it, and the film came out on NBC during the Summer Olympics of 2016. So, and then Netflix picked it up after that. So that kind of got our name out there in the streaming world. A couple of years later, I did a movie called Kiss and Cry, a similar sort of a sports genre film, but a young woman named Carly Allison, who was an up and coming figure skater and singer, and ends up getting this extremely rare form of cancer, a 1 in 3.5 billion form of sarcoma in her trachea. And yeah, that film also, Netflix saw an early cut of the trailer and kind of bought the worldwide rights to that film just at a market that we were in France. Yeah, then a following project was From the Vine, which is a film starring Joe Pantoliano from The Sopranos and The Matrix and Memento. So we took Joe to southern Italy and made a film with him where Joe's character uses his business skills to rebuild an old southern Italian village and rebuild their local winery vineyard that's been struggling. And it's a really fun rom-com set in southern Italy. And Joe is a great character actor, and we loved working with him on that project. That's a and that was Samuel Goldwyn Films picked that up in the U.S. and I think it went to Amazon thereafter. So yeah, that's those are the types of projects that I'm known for. I generally love to do like these heartwarming sort of films that um, yeah, that leave audiences on a more pleasant feeling than an unpleasant one.
Sure. And that's great. I mean, you got to find the balance, right? You got to love
Mm.
these really hard watching films like Clockwork Orange and Requiem for a Dream. And then you have, the kind of movies that you're talking about making. And I love the balance too. You have to love films like that. And there's nothing wrong with leaving a film with a fuzzy heart.
Yeah, I think a lot of my colleagues like love to do the darker dramas. I mean, that's a lot of what Canada is known for, like these bizarre, weird, quirky sort of I don't know, dramas that kind of play out and unfold and on a darker scale. But I tend to shy away from that and love the more inspirational sort of films. And yeah, and that's I love watching them with audiences, and that's how they respond. They just it feels like a bit of a more magical quality to it. We like incorporating a bit of magic realism in it, where and From the Vine we had these vine leaves kind of coming to life and talking to our main character. And so that's kind of love to infuse a little bit of whimsy into each of our productions.
Yeah. How does it feel watching your films with an audience? Like, what's that like?
Well, that's the best part about it because we make the films in a bubble, of course, and they're often destined for broadcast or streaming, and you don't get to sit in someone's house and watch it with them. So, but our films go to like festivals around the world, and that's the truly fun part about watching a film with an audience. That gymnastics film I did Full Out, I recall a screening we did in Hyderabad, India, at a children's film festival, and it was like a 500 or 700 seat theater and just full to the brim of enthusiastic young children. And yeah, they were jumping on chairs and running through the aisles during that as the gymnastic sequences were happening. So it's really special to watch films with an audience. And even on the older side, we went to a film festival in like Beaufort, South Carolina. That's a great festival in South Carolina, and it's filled with a maybe a more mature audience, and they loved From the Vine, for example, and to see an entire theater filled with local cinema goers, it just kind of warms my heart and proves that people still care about a shared theatrical experience.
I love that too. It's like you said, it's good to know that people still care. They're still going to the theaters. They're still wanting to experience these films with other people. And then to be the director yourself, to be there with these people and seeing their reactions, probably such a great feeling. How do you decide on what your next project's going to be? What's that process like?
Ah, that's a good question. I think more often than not, we look for projects that, obviously have a strong story, but are also marketable in some way. I always love to ensure that our films have an audience, that means it's going to sell, and that gives me the opportunity to make the next one. So with From the Vine, the movie about that's set in southern Italy and centers around the world of winemaking. Yeah, we knew that we could partner with vineyards across Canada and the US and Europe, and that was a way to market our film to not only film lovers but also those who enjoy wine and winemaking. So you always have to look for those uh, audiences that are outside of film, but you want to reach so that they can tell their fellow wine lovers about the film. Yeah, we also made a film called The Long Rider. It's the story of this young man, Felipe Leite, who was born in Brazil but raised in Canada. And at some point, his permanent residency lapses, and he's forced to leave our country. And to get back home to his family in Brazil, rides a pair of horses from Canada to Brazil. It's like a 2.5 year journey, and it's shot in like 13 different countries, from Canada all the way to Argentina, actually. And then we partnered with these horse organizations around the world, these quarter horse organizations across North America. And so just, having those two markets, like the documentary audience and a horse audience, we're able to do these special screenings for, the horse enthusiasts. And it just makes the screenings much more engaged, and if we're able to fill up theaters in that sense.
Sure. You said 13 different countries you filmed it?
Yes. So, well, our
Wow.
protagonist filmed the bulk of the project by himself as he was on this
Gotcha.
long journey, his long ride home back to his home. So that was we were able to incorporate his footage into what we shot and just create this really compelling documentary chronicling this kid's journey back home.
That's awesome. I really like that. I'm gonna have to. I've read about that film, obviously, in doing some research. I have yet to see it, so I will definitely check that out because I think that sounds pretty amazing.
Hmm.
Now, let's get into your newest project, which is what kind of led me to this conversation. So I wrote, you have a new documentary coming out that you wrote and directed called Silver Screamers. You hand cameras over to senior citizens. What sparked the idea to let retirees lead a horror film project, and what did you hope that they discover about themselves?
Ah. Well, yeah, I would say about 10 years ago, I read this short story called The Rug, and it's by a horror author named Ado Van Belkom. I was always obsessed with this story. It's about uh, let's say a 70-year-old woman who finds a discarded throw rug on the side of a road and decides to bring it home and to furnish her old home. And the rug develops a taste for anything that's put under it. So whether it be a lump of dirt or something much bigger, the rug has starts to get this insatiable appetite. And so, I thought if I'm going to, um, look for funding for this project and it stars a senior protagonist, I thought, what would it be like if an entire production was kind of run by seniors, and what would that kind of feel like? And then serendipitously, this flyer came across my desk one day in my mail, and it was the local municipality in which I live was there's a call for submissions for something called the New Horizons for Seniors program, and it's a fund meant to get seniors off their couch and doing something active. And so, it's not a film fund, so I knew I wasn't competing with other filmmakers, but I was able to kind of spin the application so that it worked for a film. And I thought it was a unique way of, funding a project. There's a lot of film funding is drying up these days. I don't know if you know that, but it's increasingly more difficult to raise money for filmmaking projects. So to be able to find another source of income that isn't typically used for film, I think gave us a healthy advantage over some other competition applying for that specific fund. So that's how
That
the project came to be.
that's incredible. Yeah, I mean, you came up with all of that. Just, I mean, you got the flyer, and here you are. What was it like directing non-actors, people with inexperience with film? What was it like working with people like that and kind of coaching them to create a film?
Um, yeah, I think I do a lot of education work as well. Like I'll go into different schools and teach younger students about filmmaking. But they come with some sort of preconceived notion of how to shoot things because they come from a generation where they're born with phones in their hands and are constantly recording video. So when the opportunity to came up to work with seniors, we started from the beginning. So I kind of mentored them, and we read the script together after it had been adapted into a screenplay, and from there we discussed what each role would be on set with them, and our cameras documented all of this for the documentary. And so we assigned each of our 8 seniors one specific role on the production. So it felt like they were our crew. And we followed them through the prep process. I'm thinking, Barry Lynn, she's our 78-year-old first assistant director. And, she hadn't worked in film before, but it was her idea or her process to cut up our screenplay and stick it up all over her wall and rearrange the scenes so that it would be, her ideal way of shooting the film out of order that made it most efficient. That's what a first assistant director does on a film. And then Lucia, our art director, she visited an art gallery for inspiration and took that into the production, so was able to recreate some locations with a more spooky quality when as we're making a horror film. And then Sonny, he's our 78-year-old camera operator. He has some experience with cameras, so, being a camera enthusiast and working with little HD cameras throughout his life and Super 8, going back further. But this was his chance to go to a real film equipment rental place and test out some cameras and filters and lenses and just get familiar with the process. So by the time we captured all our seniors in their prep process, they were ready to implement their newfound knowledge onto day one of filming our short horror film, The Rug.
Wow. Yeah, they probably had such a blast doing that.
Well, none of them like horror movies, so they come right out and say that.
Yep.
They do not like horror movies. They scare them, but I think being a part of this horror film really demystified the process for them, and they were able to, look at it through a different lens that they weren't quite, didn't weren't privy to beforehand.
Sure. Probably makes it a little less scary for them too to kind of
Yeah,
see where the scary sounds come from and all the things like that.
totally.
Um, did anyone kind of blow you away on set, like someone already mastered what they were doing and you were like, wow, that's great. You already know it.
I think during production, everyone felt a little overwhelmed. To be honest, it was a very long days of filming, and it takes a certain amount of stamina. So there were some naps on set, which was
Mhm.
fine. We definitely encourage that, and we wanted every one of our senior filmmakers to just get the rest that they needed in between takes.
Sure.
And it's hard on your bones as well, standing up for them a lot of the bulk of the day. Some of them had to go home and have Epsom salt baths. But by the time we finished our production, I felt like each one of them really stepped up into their roles and kind of surpassed our expectations. So, yeah, with any sort of group of people, regardless of whether they're seniors or not, there's a learning curve to get used to the flow of production. And then by the time we called cut for the last time, it felt like they were pros and just really gelling with the process of making films come to life.
Yeah. They're probably ready to make the sequel now that the first one's all done with.
I think they are. Yes, they
The Rug 2. We'll keep an eye out for it. So for you, how did the dual role of being a mentor and a director shift your creative process compared to all of your other movies you've done?
It was difficult. I'll be honest, yeah, because we
Sure.
were really focused on honoring the fund that we got and giving our seniors a quality project to kind of hang their hats on. So I really wanted to assist them in setting up shots and ensuring the performances were up to par so that they can kind of compete alongside any other film that might be playing at a festival or that sort of thing. So yeah, while I was really focused on that, we had two documentary cameras capturing everything. So because we had 8 seniors on set, I had one camera follow a group of 4 seniors and kind of bounce around them, while our other doc camera was handling the other 4 seniors and capturing what they were doing at any given time. And so just having multiple crews on set documenting everything, we really shaped the narrative in the edit room thereafter. But yeah, so I give credit to Lee Walker, our editor, for managing what felt like hundreds of hours of footage to bring it down to a fast-paced, entertaining 93 minutes.
Nice. Yeah, you guys just recently released the trailer for the film. Loved every second of it. It struck every type of emotion in there. Watching you guys create a horror film was great. We're getting the scary stuff, I guess you would say. But you're also getting a lot of the heart in there. There was even a moment where a lady mentions that her husband had recently passed, and this was a way for her to kind of cope with the time that she now has to herself. So that's the heartwarming stuff that you were talking about that you love to put into your films. What I think is really great about this project is just that with them being senior citizens and I'm assuming a retirement home, all being together and getting something to, I'm sure they have a lot of things to look forward to, but to kind of like put their mark on a project such as this, even something that maybe they, you mentioned they weren't interested in like a horror film, to put their mark on something like that and kind of collaborate with the people that they probably see day in and day out and see their talents. My friend sent me the article about this film and she was like, "Have you heard about this?" And I was like, "No." And I was like reading it and I'm just like, this is so great for everyone involved to take your to have the patience and the time to work with people that are pretty much inexperienced. It takes a lot. So that, credit to you for something like that and credit to everyone who is a part of creating this and being on screen and putting out such a fantastic project. I think it's a fantastic thing. And when I saw that trailer, I'm like, this even solidifies my idea that this was going to be fantastic. So, sorry, that's
Yeah, I
my
mean,
long-winded way of saying I'm excited for it.
thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's certainly a story about, the group of seniors that make a horror movie, but it's also, that's a story about being part of a community, just like you said, and how creativity can give purpose to seniors as they kind of age gracefully. And, they're able to be active and stay engaged and work towards this shared performance, this shared event in their community. They just want to screen the film and hope people show up for their screening. So it gives them a purpose, and it's really inspiring to witness that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have one of our protagonists is 96 years old. She's our sound recordist. Her name's Audrey. She's lost, all the members of her family, are like her
Mm.
age, and so she's, kind of living a solitary life. And when this opportunity came up to record sound for a movie, she was like one of the first to raise her hand and get involved. So, yeah, when I think of Audrey at 96 showing up to set every day and putting her headphones on and hitting the record button and recording sound for us, it was really, yeah, really sweet to witness that.
Well, big shout out to Audrey because that's amazing. Well, you guys have your premiere coming up. It's going to be at Fantastic Fest in Austin, Texas, the weekend of September 18th, correct?
Mhm. That's
Awesome.
right.
What are you
I think we screen on the 19th, but yeah,
on the
you're very close. Yeah.
perfect. Hey, so September 19th, the premiere at the Fantastic Fest. What are you looking forward to most about the premiere?
Oh, I'm kind of nervous about the premiere, to be honest. We set out to make a documentary. We didn't think the genre community would embrace it, so I'm kind of curious to see how that plays out. But no, the when our programmer Anik saw the film, she called us the next day and gave us a slot at the festival, which is really sweet of her. So just to think that. Like a hardcore genre crowd who's going to be also witnessing, the latest horror films that take over North America and take over the world. For our little film to play that festival, it just shows that this community of this audience has a big heart as well. You'd think that the genre crowd only embraces horror and blood and shocking things, but to know that they also have this big heart and I think it's going to be it's just an odd dichotomy to me in my head. So I can't wait to watch it with this crowd of clearly they're enjoy these gross and gross and horrific things on the outside, but have these soft hearts on the inside.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. I just from the trailer alone, I know that the audiences are going to absolutely love this to see, people coming together, as you mentioned, a community of people coming together and creating something that they don't really love, being watched by an audience who absolutely love things like that. That's going to be a great feeling for all of you. Now, are all the filmmakers that you worked with in this film, are they all able to go there?
They'll be at some festivals. It depends on how they feel. It's very difficult
Sure.
to travel when you're in your 80s, and
Sure, I couldn't imagine.
yeah, so we'll see how we'll take it day by day, and yeah, hopefully there'll be a surprise or two at some of the festivals that we have coming up.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. What do you hope the audiences take away from this film?
Oh, so with Silver Screamers, I hope to inspire audiences of all ages to rethink about what is possible later in life. Yeah, this documentary is not just about filmmaking, it's about resilience, it's about reinvention and this enduring human need to kind of create. And so by sharing the story of our seniors, I aim to encourage more opportunities for seniors in this space and spark conversations about the value of like intergenerational collaboration. So yeah, so it's about celebrating creativity and encouraging seniors to be creative and active and use that to form a community.
Awesome. If you could go back and whisper one piece of advice to yourself before you made your first film, what would you tell yourself?
Oh, that's a great question. I would probably be more focused on audience and how to select a project that has that sort of marketable quality to it. So it's all fine and dandy to make a film that is personal to you, and but that's often how those personal films end up. They end up, not reaching a very wide audience. So to infuse your project with little marketable hooks and make them make them have that quality that journalists can latch onto or reviewers or podcast hosts. There's got to be something worth discussing in a film. I'd probably go back and encourage my younger self to infuse the projects that selected early in my career to resonate more, to spark conversations like we're having right now.
Yeah, love it. Did you think, back when you made your first film, did you think that you would be where you are today?
I never thought I could do it, raise money for a project myself. It always seemed like it was such a daunting thing, and it still obviously is, and it's getting increasingly harder and harder. But the more filmmaking is demystified, and you're able to learn new practices throughout each film that you make. So it's like I'm traveling to different markets around the world and pitching projects and meeting distributors from other territories. And so to be able to learn that side of the business at the same time as production and post-production. So I'm learning, yeah, you're learning marketing and distribution at the same time. It just kind of gives me a different perspective when I, wear my director hat, how the international distributor might want something captured on set that works for their territory. So to have just to have a well-rounded view of how each wheel in the cog views the filmmaking process and how it sets them up for success is something that that I kind of cherish, I guess, every time I'm lucky enough to make a new film.
Yeah, well, congratulations on an absolutely amazing career for sure. You should be proud.
Well, thank you.
Uh, yeah, I guess the last question I really have for you, and I don't even know if it's something you can answer, only because I know there's a lot that goes into this, but is there any word on when, we the mass audiences could actually see Silver Screamers? Is that something that's being talked about?
Well, yeah, after Fantastic Fest, we had to a number of different cities, and they're still being announced kind of daily. So we'll be headed to some festivals in Canada and Lunenburg, Nova Scotia, Calgary. Then we fly across the pond to the Strasbourg Fantastic Fest in Europe. But then we're at the Gotham Film Week in New York City, and that's where we'll be meeting partners for in distribution. So that's very specific market. That's where we'll have these curated meetings that the Gotham has set up for us between our film and these key decision makers in the distribution world to bring our film to a wide audience. So yeah, still early stages, but hope with this festival run and this Gotham film market opportunity, it brings our film to a wider audience than we can ever anticipate.
Yeah. Well, I can only see the word of mouth getting bigger and stronger, so I know it's gonna turn out well for you no matter how long it takes to get to that moment, but definitely looking forward to it. And you said you're currently working on a new project. Do you have any other projects in line, or is this kind of the focus now?
Oh, yeah, I have another project that I'm very excited to talk about, but it's one of those things where you're not allowed to talk about it. So
Sure, sure.
we'll be here, maybe a year and a half from now talking about
Okay.
the next one
Perfect.
when that's done.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Well, I'll be sure to link up with you next time for that conversation. So
awesome. I'll reach out.
cool. Well, hey, Sean, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today to talk about your new film, Silver Screamers. If anyone listening has not yet seen the trailer for this film, please go check it out. Be sure to follow Sean on Instagram. Keep following his journey in filmmaking and his career. Sean, anything else you want to throw out there for everyone?
Hey, if you want to follow the film's journey as well, we're at Silver Screamers Doc on Instagram and Facebook, and yeah, please do follow us and just get to see all the fun things that we're doing with the marketing of the film. I think as we roll out our festival screenings and theatrical events, we'll be posting a lot of fun and exciting content. And who doesn't love seeing seniors succeed at their goals when they're as seen as such underdogs, at the top of the project. So it's pretty inspiring to witness what they're capable of doing.
Absolutely inspiring. Yes, you guys, you heard it there. Go follow everything he just mentioned. It's definitely quite the journey to watch right now. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really looking forward to this film. So, Sean, thank you so much again for taking the time. I hope you have a wonderful day. Everyone listening, you do the same, and we'll see you next time.